Hello, guys, and welcome to 𝐻𝐭𝐚𝐲 World Cup Matchday 2. Let's analyze Group A and Group B. And we have Alvaro, Romeo, and Tom Renni. Hello, guys.
Hello, dear fellas. How are you?
Full squad today.
Do I have to do Spanish?
For a long time.
Do I have to do Spanish
No,
now?
it's okay.
Hola, amigos. ¿Cómo está?
Good. Let's analyze these two groups, guys, with Alvaro, with Tom speaking perfect Spanish, and with you. Remember to leave your comments and tell us your tips. You can also make your tips right now in the Oddspedia website. And of course, if you enjoy our videos, please press the like and subscribe. So let's not waste any time because we have to commentate on the games we saw in Matchday 1 to place our tips in Matchday 2. And we are going to start with Group A. We have Qatar Senegal is the second game we are going to watch on Friday. And Tom, you were spot on. Someone was criticizing you for talking down about Qatar. Be careful. They are the host. They can be very good. They were planning this World Cup ahead. But luckily in football, and we know a lot about this, money doesn't buy everything. And they were absolutely rubbish against Ecuador. And now they are facing Senegal. I felt sorry for Senegal because I think with Mané, they could have hammered or damaged Netherlands, but they were a bit toothless in that game. So here, I guess we should look at Senegal to beat Qatar.
Well, look, I don't want to keep offending our viewers, but I will repeat what I said last week. Qatar are the worst team maybe ever to compete in a World Cup. They're certainly the worst team to ever host a World Cup. You can't come to a World Cup with a bunch of amateur players who have played in local leagues in a country about the size of 3 London boroughs. You simply can't think they're going to be good. I've seen the propaganda from Qatar for 12 years, like everybody. And, the stadiums sort of look good, apart from the fact during the England game, all I could see was air conditioning units and no fans. But that's all great. But this is not a good football team. It's not a good football team. They have no pedigree. They have no experience. They have no players really that have played in any significant league in world football. And I said to you last week, they won't score a goal. I said to you last week, they're going to lose every game. The only surprise for me is that the game on the opening day against Ecuador was only 2. It could have been 5. It could have been 6. It could have been 7. And it doesn't matter if you've got 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 1,000 years to prepare. If your players don't do what, say, the USA do, for example, over a period of generations, get players from your relatively small league, playing in other leagues, other countries, growing experience, growing your own league at the same time, developing over time, years and years and years and years of hard work, you ain't going to be able to compete in the World Cup. And Qatar haven't done that. They just threw cash at the problem. And that got the result it got the other day. And it will get a similar result here against Senegal. I agree with you. And I think Alvaro said the same, that I think that Senegal with Sadio Mane would have been much better. I think they were unlucky against Netherlands in lots of ways, but they still have a pretty decent team. They are still clearly a very well-organized, very strong defensive unit. And if you've got Koulibaly and Cissé and Mendy, if you've got if you've got midfield Mendy, not goalkeeper Mendy. There's a lot of Mendys. Midfield Mendy is what I meant. But also, 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐬𝐻, who I think can do something magic going forward. Good players, solid unit, 4-2-3-1. You've got to beat us. Qatar will not break down Senegal. There's a possibility this game might finish 0-0. But the only thing I can see in this game is that Qatar 0-0-0. Nothing. No shots. No goals. No interest. No entertainment. Pointless. Senegal will win if they show some daring do. With Sadio Mane, I'd have gone the over 2.5, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. Without, I would say Senegal win. Without conceding, I expect goals in both halves as well.
Senegal to win 2-0 is 2.4. It's very important, or it could be very important, actually, the goals in this group. So Senegal should score at least 3 to do better than Ecuador and Alvaro. And I really liked 𝐷 in Senegal. Was my favorite player. I think he gave the league a headache in the previous game.
Well, because he is a very entertaining player, because he is fast, because he's got a bunch of tricks as well that he can do in the games. The only problem with this player is that I don't think that he will ever be a 15 or 20 goal a season player. But anyway, he's a very good winger and he's got a margin for improvement in him. But I agree with Tom. I think that Qatar was very underwhelming. And I thought that they were going to do slightly better. They've been preparing for this World Cup for a long time with the manager 𝐜𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐽𝐿. They even played the Copa America in 2019. They got a guest pass for the Copa America and they weren't too good. But, you know, after having prepared so much, I thought that at least they were going to be slightly more competitive. But the second Ecuador threw a ball in that box of Qatar, it was a disaster for them. You know, they have managed to get a Qatari passport for a few foreign players, but they didn't find the goalkeeper. And the pool of goalkeepers in Qatar must be very bad. It's sad. 𝐿-𝐶𝐵 is the best goalkeeper they've got. International football cannot buy you, footballers. And, you know, I think that bad goalkeeping is very inherent to international football too. If you happen not to have a good goalkeeper, then you are very likely to be doomed and to lose. So, yes, very bad from Qatar. I expect them to be better against Senegal because they cannot get any worse. And in all fairness, Ecuador was a good side the other day in the opening game of the tournament. When it comes to Senegal, well, Senegal, they had a very difficult debut against the Netherlands because I think the Netherlands are on a hype right now. And in the Nations League, we saw how they came first in a group with Belgium. Senegal is not a high-scoring team. So in this game, I wouldn't go for the Asian handicap as Tom has suggested or hinted. I think that Senegal is going to win it, yes. But maybe the Asian handicap is not my favorite thing here because Senegal, as I said before, they don't have Mané. They are not scoring that many goals. So maybe Senegal to win is good enough for me. 167 is a team Senegal that won the African Cup of Nations thanks to their defensive record. It's a team that they demand the best possible version of Eduardo Mendy, and I think he made a mistake in Klaassen goal, even though I think that when I saw the replay from a different angle, I think that Memphis Depay's shot wasn't so easy to save. But anyway, he should have cleared it better. But anyway, I think that Senegal is going to win this game. So Senegal to win 167, I will be very happy with that.
Mistakes in both goals, I would say, for Mendy. Good odds is kind of a safe bet, in my opinion, if you back Senegal with this 1.6. Much more interesting is the next game in this group, Netherlands-Ecuador. I was not amazed, let's say, by the Netherlands' performance against Senegal. They were good defensively, even if Senegal had a couple of chances. But when it comes to creativity, Alvaro, I think they were pretty poor. I really liked Frenkie de Jong. I think he was the best player on the pitch. But up front, without Depay in top form, I have doubts with Jansen. And I didn't like this Netherlands, to be honest. I think Ecuador, if we see how good they were performing in the CONMEBOL qualifiers, this strong team, this is a very physical team, they can have as well an option against the Netherlands.
I think that Ecuador is going to be up to the physical challenge, that's for sure, because they are probably the most physical side in South America right now, all together with Brazil. They've got plenty of footballers who got the stamina, and also they are very powerful for the duels. And Sarmiento is one of them. Pervis Estupiñán is another one. I think that Piero 𝐿𝐴𝐵, the defender from Bayer Leverkusen, he is a terrific defender and he's got a physicality in him as well. So Ecuador is a very physical side. Yes, Estrada, even Ener Valencia playing up front. They are all quite strong. And I think that this game is not going to be so easy for the Netherlands. Ener Valencia scored the brace the other day. I think that he is the kind of player that maybe he's not suited for a long league, even though Tom can talk more about Ener Valencia for sure because he played for West Ham. But I think that Ener Valencia is some sort of a tournament player. If he is gifted during 3-4 weeks, he can be very good. The Netherlands, I think that they were okay against Senegal. It wasn't easy to play against Senegal. It was like, in my opinion, one of the good games of the group stage. But beating Senegal was crucial because probably Louis van Gaal and their men, they have considered or labeled the game against Senegal probably like the most difficult one of the group stage, and they won it. I think that there are a couple of things that stand out for me in the Netherlands. Number one is that Frenkie de Jong is a better player for Netherlands than for Barcelona because there is a system for him. Then in defense, they rely a lot on in the individual hierarchy. Virgil van Dijk, De Ligt, or even Nathan Ake to a lesser extent, by the way. They can solve many problems for the Netherlands. If the tactics don't work, if the defensive tactics don't work, you got Virgil van Dijk or De Ligt who are capable of doing it themselves. Then Gakpo is a very interesting player. He scored the first goal of the Netherlands against Senegal. And he's having the role that probably Donny van de Beek should have had if his career had been the career we had expected, but Gakpo has taken over and he's a very, very, very good player. And from the second line or from the edge of the box, he's scoring many goals for PSV as well. So, you know, I think that Netherlands has a good technical ability from most of their players. I think that they are slightly better than Ecuador. Physically, they are similar. So I'm going to go for Netherlands to win. I think the money is very good here. 183. I think that this time the Dutch side, after beating Senegal, I think that they have crossed a border. I think that they will be playing with less pressure than they would have played hadn't they beaten Senegal.
Are you also, Tom, so confident about the Netherlands? Did you like them when they beat Senegal?
No, I didn't like them. I don't really get the clamour for the Netherlands. I think people just get really excited about the kit. And I think everyone loves Louis van Gaal. You know, everyone loves Louis van Gaal's army. Everyone loves the guy. But he has, since the year 2006, when he was, you know, Netherlands manager, been quite a negative boss. He's been quite a defensive-minded boss. And I think what he's got here is a pretty solid, uninspiring team. I think that they've basically got a back five. I don't see it as a back three. Plint and Dumfries make it a back five. I don't think much to Janssen and Bergwijn as a front pairing. I don't see much in that. I don't see many goals in that. Memphis Depay coming on. I don't see Memphis Depay as a, you know, World Cup winning match breaker. So I think it's a pretty average team, actually. It's an average squad. And I think that they were helped by mistakes by Senegal and the fact that Senegal didn't have the Sadio Mane outlet. That was the issue in the game, that Senegal did everything they usually do, but then couldn't knock it up to their world-class striker to be the difference maker. And when you make mistakes, you end up losing a game like that. So I wasn't impressed by Netherlands. I'm not impressed by their squad. I do agree with Alvaro that De Jong looks a better player in this team than he does at Barcelona. I do agree that 𝐿𝐭𝐴 Gakpo is due a Premier League move at some point in the next couple of years. He reeks of Newcastle United. And I imagine he'll turn up there at some point. But defensively, not sure about the movement in that trio. There's been doubts about Van Dijk for a while. Nathan Ake, I'm not a fan. De Ligt, okay, probably the best of that trio. But there's issues all over the field for me for Netherlands. So that causes me some concern. With Ecuador, I think we just saw their win for the tournament. We saw it because they played a garbage team in Qatar. And Enner Valencia, you know, Enner Valencia's got the hardest shot I've ever seen of any player ever. So if you're looking for some interesting markets here, look for Enner Valencia to have multiple shots from outside the penalty area. Over 2 shots from outside the penalty area. Maybe even Enner Valencia to score from outside the penalty area. I think the best midfielder in this game is going to be Moises Caicedo, who's going to start in central midfield. I think it's absolutely superb. I've seen him a few times for Brighton this season. And I think he could run this game. It's going to be a real basic, well-delivered 4-4-2 from Ecuador up against a Dutch side who are going to try and be offensive, even though that doesn't suit their instincts. What does that tell me? Draw, draw, draw. Screams it from the rooftops. A low-scoring draw. If you are going to go win, I would say first goal wins it. This is an under matchup of under 2.5. I would maybe say if there's a good double chance, you might look Netherlands and draw, but draw at 3.5, which will drift up to 4 by the time we get to the game. That's what I'd be looking at here. Low scoring, maybe even 0-0.
I can see actually the draw, and the odds are higher than you say. That now I'm checking on Oddspedia. It's around 4.
Oh,
And I have to agree with you, Tom. Actually, I was not impressed by the Netherlands' professional performance, but not even the players, in my opinion. They have this high quality that some other people are saying, but for sure that victory put them almost in the next round. Let's jump into Group B. And here we have to talk about Wales-Iran. Alvaro, one of the poorest performance also in this World Cup. I expected more from Iran, especially, at least defensively. We were told that this was a good organized team. Defensively, we saw them in the previous World Cup. Portugal and Spain had a tough time to beat them, but 𝐻𝐸𝗏's team was very poor, was extremely poor, I have to say. And Wales, I think they have to be very happy after the point they got against the USA, and this is a must win for Wales, and then let's see what happens against England in the last game.
Yes, well, first of all, something on Iran and European football in general. I think that the Nations League have distorted a bit the perception about some European sides because the Nations League basically puts the best European sides playing against each other for a year or so. So you may win, you may draw, you may get defeats because you are playing against the best European opposition. England, for example, has lost 3 games in 2022. Does it mean that England was in a bad run or in a crisis? No way. They were playing against Germany, Italy, and then strangely they lost against Hungary a couple of games. But anyway, what I mean is that the quality of the opposition they have been facing this year has distorted a little bit of the perception of the English national side. Same thing applies to Belgium, same thing applies to France, teams that were in the World Cup semi-final 4 years ago. They have lost 3 games each in 2022. But then they play against sides like Iran, and it happens what? It happened last Monday. Well, they basically destroyed them. Iran lost 6-2 to England. It was a bad night for them, or a bad afternoon. The goalkeeper, Beiran Band, they got a concussion. It was a terrible thing to watch. Terrible thing to watch. And I don't know why on earth he stayed on the pitch for an extra 5 minutes. He should have been replaced. That doesn't look good on FIFA. It doesn't look good. In a UEFA tournament, that goalkeeper couldn't have been able to keep on playing. But the good thing for Iran is that they were benefited by Wales and the United States drawing hours later. Because as demoralizing as a 6-2 can be, they are still 1 point away from the USA and Wales. Iran changed their FA president and their manager in 2022. Well, they look like a side that changed their president and their manager in 2022. They didn't lay a glove against England. The only good thing for them was that Taremi got a brace, so good for the Porto striker. And the other nice thing was the gesture with Iranian women, because the national anthem was shouted down by the supporters and none of the Iran players joined in. So that was nice by them. When it comes to Wales, I think that they were a little bit outplayed by the United States, especially in the first half. But then, Gareth Bale scored the penalty, done by Zimmerman. And Wales had a couple of chances in the second half as well for Moore, for Ben Davies. They lost the possession against the United States. I think that they played a little bit of a more negative football than the United States, but they stayed in the game. So for this game, if you go to the individual market, the money is pretty decent. Bale to score, and let's not forget that he's taking penalties too. Bale to score pays 2.6. Taremi to score pays 3.75, and he's in a good run. So the individual markets are quite appealing, but maybe my favorite bet here is quite conservative, I know, but it would be an Asian handicap of plus 0.75 for Iran, because they will try to defend way better than they did against England. So that pays 155. I could stay there.
Tom, what is your opinion on Wales? Did you like them? Did you like the reaction in the second half? Do you think they can qualify?
Yeah, I think they can qualify. I think it comes down to this game for Wales. I think this is a crucial game for both of these teams. I think this is a World Cup decider for both of these teams. I've got to say the first half was bad from Wales. I don't expect a great deal from Wales in terms of dominating the game, but I do expect them to compete. And I thought in that first half, there was almost a nervousness, a they looked like an aging side against a bunch of young bucks in the USA in that first 45 minutes. In the second half, I think they remembered who they are. I think they were able to get Aaron Ramsey on the ball more. I think 𝐿𝐭𝐴 coming on gave them a physical presence up front that Dan James and Gareth Bale were not giving them. Gareth Bale was woeful in the game. He offered nothing to Wales in the game, apart from scoring the penalty. Him getting player of the match was an utterly bizarre sponsor pick because 𝐿𝐭𝐴 was the best player on the field, and it wasn't even close. He came on. You know, the great thing about football, why it is the greatest sport in the world, is that we talk forever, the three of us, loads of people around the world about formations and tactics and the way the game has developed and all that sort of nonsense. Wales brought on a big bloke. They brought on a big bloke who went up against their centre-halves, headed it, flicked it on, out-muscled them, out-fought them, and that made a massive difference. And I think that might well make a massive difference in this game. I expect 𝐿𝐭𝐴 to start. And 𝐿𝐭𝐴 to start in a maybe change formation with Gareth Bale on one side and Dan James on the other. I think that's going to be a nightmare for Iran. That's going to be a nightmare because 𝐿𝐭𝐴 will bully second-rate centre-halves. And Iran have, on the evidence of Monday, second-rate centre-halves. So I think with a tactical change from Rob Page, that could be really, really interesting. I think I'd like to see them go to 3-4-3 instead of 3-5-2. That might mean someone like maybe Wilson drop out and keep Dan James in for pace on one side. I like Harry Wilson, but someone's got to go. And I think Nico Williams and Connor Roberts are a bit more versatile than maybe he is. That leaves you Ampadu and Ramsey in midfield. Ampadu is a kind of undroppable figure. Unless you put Ampadu in the back three and take out either Joe Rodon or Chris Mepham, who I thought were both equally bad in the game at centre-half. They're decent-ish defenders, but not good footballers. So there's some tweaks I'd make about Wales. If he does that, I can see why they're coming in at 2-1, 2.5-1, because I do make them slight favourites because of the quality they have going forward. I got to say, Iran were terrible, weren't they? Just absolutely awful. And 6-2, it flattered Iran, the scoreline. And also, that penalty, the second goal, give me a break. Like, that's it's just not a penalty. I mean, you know, that was it's not a foul, it's not a penalty, and of course we looked to the Harry Maguire one in the first half, which wasn't given.
Yeah, especially I think it was in the 5th minute that Maguire and another guy, it looks like American football. They didn't give that penalty, and then at the end it looks like charity.
But that is very unsettling because you don't know what will be called in this World Cup. I mean, if that penalty on Harry Maguire, which was a penalty, wasn't called, wasn't given, what is it going to be given? I'm going to start watching every game not knowing what the criteria of the referees is. It was appalling, terrible. And I agree with Tom. Iran was very, very bad. And they were so poor that 6-2 is even too good for them. Yesterday, Tom and I were watching the game together, and we were saying that, you know, Taremi was pretty happy about this game because at least he scored a couple of goals. And considering the situation, it could have been an 8-0 easily for England, really. And, you know, this is the situation of Iran right now. They have to overcome this 6-2 defeat, but the good thing is that they are only 1 point away from Wales and the United States. This is the best possible news for them, considering.
But they can't start this game 5-4-1. They played like that because they know, as Wales will know, as the US will know, that England are better than them. In every department, from players to tactics to everything, to the bench, England are the best team in this group, and I don't actually think it's that close. So Iran went into that game damage limitation and failed miserably. So they clearly can't do damage limitation. So what I'd like to see is Taremi, as Alvaro said, delighted with this game, scored twice, get him in the game more, get Ali Reza Yahan back forward more, drop out one of the centre-halves. You can't concede 6 goals with 5 defenders and play the same team again against a worse team. Waste of time. Be a bit more offensive. I think because there's so much on this game, I think it's really interesting. I, again, wouldn't be surprised to see a draw here. I wouldn't be surprised if all Wales games ended 1-1. I wouldn't be surprised both teams to score and Wales scored the second goal in all the games, like we saw in the first game against the USA. But after seeing Iran, I wouldn't back them. I'd be looking here at Wales get over 8 corners in this game. Wales score at least 1 goal in this game. Double chance for Wales and draw. But the draw market, which will be above 3, 1-1's going to be about 5. I'd be looking at that.
All right, and the last game in this group is England-USA. On the contrary, as I said, against the Netherlands, and we know that Iran was very poor, Tom, but I was amazed by England, to be honest. The squad, they have a lot of quality. Bellingham was superb. And also how Southgate can change the games with all the top players coming out from the bench. It looks pretty good. England is not just to put the hype up with England because they played Iran, but I think this team is way stronger than the one we saw in Russia.
Are we doing the song? Should we do the song?
No,
please. Too early.
When you win it, when you win it, please.
Okay, semi-finals.
Don't get too carried away.
All right, semi-finals, we do the song. No, look, Alvaro made a great point earlier, which was don't take the Nations League as the be-all and end-all of form, because you look at when some of those Nations League games were played and the desire to win those games, the Hungary matches happened at the end of like a 12-month season for some of the players. They simply didn't want to be there in one of those games. And got absolutely walloped for their efforts. I think if you take two elements of England, which I think we saw in this game, number one, the squad is very strong. It is very, very strong. Jude Bellingham, sensational. Declan Rice, brilliant reading of the game. Bukayo Saka in red hot form. Raheem Sterling always does it for England. Harry Maguire even always does it for England. Jordan Pickford, though he conceded two, the save he makes to pat that one on the bar at 6-1, I think it was at the time, tremendous. Kieran Trippier, one of the best players in the Premier League this season. And that's before you get to Marcus Rashford coming on, Phil Foden coming on, and Jack Grealish too. You know, sensational squad. And I think if this was the Argentina squad, we'd be saying they can win this. They can win this tournament. And I think there is an element of it's England and all that sort of stuff makes you think, yeah, they won't win it. And they probably won't. But I do put them in as my third or fourth favourites along with France. Now Benzema's out, maybe ahead of France in my favourites list, behind the obvious two of Argentina and Brazil, not just because of the victory over Iran, but also the way they played and the strength in depth. And the other thing, you mentioned the last World Cup, Gareth Southgate, I don't get why he's not a knight in England. I don't get why people don't love him as much as they should, because he knows how to navigate the group stages of these tournaments. And that is such a disrespected quality. He knows that in the Iran game, we can wallop them. In the USA game, I think he'll be a bit more defensive-minded. And in the Wales game, we'll see where we are. If England have won two, he'll rotate everybody. If England need a draw, he'll go out and get the draw. And so, very impressed with England. I don't see a great deal of starting lineup rotation in this game. I think it'll be very similar. I think they will dominate the ball in this game. And I think you've got to look at how many goals England will score. You have to look at that market in this game. In terms of the USA, really odd performance. They've not been great for about a year. And again, a bit like the Nations League thing, on the other side, they don't play many good opponents. Like they were outplayed by Japan. They were rubbish against Saudi Arabia. They play kind of Mexico every now and then. They play Canada every now and then. But in general, they aren't challenged very much in competitive games. And I think you saw that against Wales. They scored the opening goal. I thought they were tremendous in the first half, but then kind of didn't know what to do. And they're such a young squad. Maybe that's not particularly surprising. I was amazed Gio Reyna didn't get on. Didn't get that. I know the American press on Tuesday are going wild about the fact Gio Reyna didn't get on. Gio Reyna gave an interview post-match saying, yeah, I was 100% fit, but didn't get called upon. That left everyone kind of scratching their heads. I don't think Josh Sargent gave anything as a centre forward. And I've got to say that Zimmerman's tackle on Gareth Bale for the penalty is garbage. Ridiculous. It's a terrible, terrible challenge.
Ridiculous.
He's been their lead centre-half for about 18 months. He was always going to be the lead centre-half. Tim Ream wasn't even going to be in the squad before injuries. And Ream looked like the guy we've seen at Fulham this season, totally assured and confident. And Zimmerman looked like someone who plays in MLS. And I think that's the issue here. Looked like someone who's suddenly on this massive stage and made a massive error. If he doesn't do that, I don't think Wales score. Unless the US gave them a goal, I don't think Wales were going to score. I expect the US in this game to be better. I expect Brendan Aronson to start. I expect Gio Reyna to start. I'd probably take Weston McKennie out, who looked a bit injured, also didn't play particularly well. I'd take Josh Sargent out, who I just don't think is very good. And I think there's a clear way this game's going to go. England will dominate the ball if they can score from a corner, usually. Now look at the corner market. Look at Maguire if fit from a corner, or Stones if fit from a corner for England. If they score, they will go on to win this game quite comfortably. If they don't, the longer it goes on, I expect the youthful exuberance of the USA to come to the fore, and they may well be able to nick this game. If they can stop England scoring, they might be able to nick this game. It's a massive if. The if is doing heavy lifting in that comment I've just made. But I can see the US winning it. 6-1 and above is very, very nice. So there's two ways I see it going. England win by 2 or 3, or the US win it without conceding. Those are my two results.
Well, odds results, especially if the USA win without conceding. Alvaro, are we going to see a different England? Because in the previous two tournaments where they succeed and they get into the semifinals or even the final in the Euros, they played quite defensively, and against Iran, they had problems in the back. They conceded 2, the bar that also Tom was mentioning. But they have a lot of quality up front. So perhaps Southgate is saying, okay, guys, let's play football and let's concede goals, but also create much more chances.
Well, I think that England conceded 2 goals against Iran because they thought that they had won the game, basically. And probably they removed their foot from the accelerator. But generally speaking, I think that England is a power force right now, definitely in Europe. I think that, honestly, from all the European sides, there are only 2 who can inflict heavy defeats to lesser opposition. And I think that those sides are France and England. But the rest of the European sides, they have to fight a lot to inflict heavy defeats to anybody. And the truth is that this side of England, or this English generation, is probably one of the most exciting I have ever seen. And the team has had an upgrade since Euro 2020 until now. Look, there were 2 changes in the lineup against Iran from the lineup against Italy in the Euro 2020 final in Wembley. Walker and Phillips out, and Bellingham and Saka in. That's an upgrade. That's an upgrade, no matter how you look at it. Jude Bellingham for Calvin Phillips especially is a massive upgrade. This guy is, altogether with Jamal Musiala and Pedri, one of the best young midfielders in the world, and probably Jude Bellingham is already one of the best young midfielders in the world. Period. And he's playing for England, and he's playing fantastically. And with Declan Rice, they form a very good duo, a very promising duo in there. I think that it was a very, very good game for England in every possible aspect. And even players that, they needed to score just to boost their confidence, like a Marcus Rashford did score a beautiful goal. So generally speaking, there are no negatives in that game, really. No negatives for me, because the goals they conceded, I think that they were a result of how easy England was finding it, no more than that. So England dominated in every aspect. They took 8 more corners than Iran, which is something that I'm going to keep for my ACCA, because I think that England is going to take more corners than the United States in the following game. And as I said before, my angle in the World Cup is going to be, for the World Cup, is going to be the same I did in the previous video with Radek. I think until someone proves me wrong, I'm going to say that European football is nowadays way ahead of any other confederation. And the Nations League is clouding our judgment because it is common to see the big sides losing here and there against some other big sides. But when it comes to the international stage and the World Cup, I think that Europe, Brazil, and Argentina are miles ahead of everyone else. So I'm going to back England here. I know that the United States, they did very good against Wales for 30 minutes. Their passing, the way they unrolled their attacking game was very interesting to see. They had more possession than Wales too, but England is a totally different proposition, and I'm going to back them. England to win pays 153, not enough for me. This is a game in which you can find very good odds. For example, England to score over 1.5 goals plus England winning a small combination, that pays 183, and it's probably one of my favorite bets in the whole show. Asian handicap corners, -2 for England, 183 as well. I like that too. So I could stay there. And if you really believe that England can make it here and can win easily, England to win and over 2.5, you put it all together, over 2.5 goals, that pays 2.4.
It's coming home. It's coming. Okay, Alvaro, you mentioned it. Tell me your favorite bet for this match day then.
It's my safe bet. England to win, 153.
And yours, Tom?
Senegal win. They're playing Qatar.
Yeah, I understand it. And your ACCA, Tom?
ACCA is a treble. Senegal win because, again, they're playing Qatar. England win, but put that into a treble with a draw between Wales and Iran. You get that for over 7.5.
All right. And yours, Alvaro?
Yeah. England to win and over 1.5 goals in that game. Asian handicap corners, -2 for England. Asian handicap -0.25 for the Netherlands. You put it all together, another treble, 532.
Thank you, guys. Don't forget, guys, leave your comments, press the like, and subscribe. See you very soon. Bye-bye. It's coming home. It's coming.
Bye-bye.